What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dialed In. Today, I'm going to be going live with one of my good friends on TikTok. He's a TikTok influencer, Evan. So we'll wait for him to hop in. What up, everybody? E. Holmes, what's good? Wait for him to hop in, wherever he's at. Hopefully my Wi-Fi is cool. What's good?
Yo, what's good, man? How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Hold on, let me drop this down some. It's like zoomed in directly on my forehead. Give me 1 sec.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. You're good. I can hear you just fine. All right. Well, first off, just want to say thank you for hopping on. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Where are you located at again?
I live in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Canada. Okay. All right. Yeah. Cool. So if you're not familiar with how we do it on here, pretty much the thing is like I pretty much went through my DMs, asked a couple questions. So I have probably about 18, 20 questions written down. And then any question that my followers, your followers, ask, we'll pick and choose and kind of pick a few from there. But yeah, whatever we want to talk about, it's all good. So a couple things here. Tell us a little bit about who you are. My followers know me, but tell us a little bit about you. I've seen you on TikTok a couple times.
Yeah. So, I'm recently into the fitness industry, if you'll consider it that way. I'm 22. I just graduated from my undergrad. I have a business degree, as ironic as that is.
Nice.
I've grown up in Nova Scotia. Not a very traveled individual, although looking to make, hopefully, a move down to the States and, even as soon as the next couple of months.
Nice.
As far as, my perspective with fitness, I've been training for probably coming up on eight years now, I want to say, maybe even 8.5.
Okay.
Started in, I want to say after the end of grade 9, so I was 14. And just, I don't know, like I've, for a little while, it was just a hobby. It took me a while to get into it, I got to say. I was a big, I was a big geek when I was a kid, big gamer. I was lazy as hell. And, but it took me a little while to get into it. And then I honestly just fell in love with it. Like intrinsically, I really enjoyed just like the active training, as opposed to even obviously the benefits, the results from it are awesome. But yeah. I really just enjoyed the active training. And then I really started to kind of find more and more that it mattered more and more to me. So I spent more and more time kind of looking into stuff, trying to my best to optimize training, nutrition, all that stuff, learning more and more as I went along. And just recently, I've really decided to like go as, jump into it head first and take it as far as I could and just see what would happen. And, I've been lucky enough to be in the position that I'm in now, where I'm making content and I have people who, watch my content for educational purposes or motivation or whatever it might be. So yeah,
over 200,000 followers too, huh? I know on TikTok you got a lot.
Yeah. I think I'm at 211 or 212 right now. 212, I think. Which is just like mind blowing to me. Mind blowing.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. TikTok's powerful, bro. I always tell people, like, especially a lot like in my area, I'm in like the San Francisco area. I don't know if you know what that's like, but either way, just in California in general, it's like, in my particular area, it's not like LA, San Diego. It's not like all the fitness people, right? In my area, there's just no fitness people. Like, it's just me by myself. There might be a few, but like out of the thousands of people here, there's none. It's very little. Yeah. So I try to tell people, it's like, guys, like TikTok's powerful. Like, even if you don't want to do fitness, like, you could put out content, you can open products, whatever, post your products, like you could blow up within months. And like, everybody's like, nah, bro, it's for dancing. I don't want to do that. And it's like, I don't know about you, but I never danced on TikTok, and we both got over, a couple 100,000 followers. So,
Man, you're so right. For the longest time, actually, like my brother had TikTok for a while. I have a younger brother, and, the younger, it's TikTok, I think, from an objective standpoint is, the majority, I feel like, of the demographic on TikTok is like younger users. My brother's only 3 years younger than I am, but that's enough to just kind of for him to be more in the loop, I guess. And for the longest time, he's like, yo, you got to get TikTok. I got all these videos I want to send you. And I'm like, man, I'm not getting TikTok. Like that app.
I'm not downloading
this.
What is it?
Exactly. I was like, I'm not doing it, man. It's a waste of time. I already spend way too much time just like, doing stuff that's irrelevant anyway. I don't need another distraction. And then I was like, you know what? if I'm really gonna, I actually started on Instagram and with like fitness content, if you will, and I had like a very modest following, like very modest, you know, mostly close friends, and then a couple people that might have you know, found me accidentally. I'm talking like less than 1,000 people. And then I was like, man, if I'm really gonna do this, like I gotta buy in. So I jumped on TikTok, and I don't know, I got really lucky. I want to say I made a video, and I didn't even know how to do a voiceover. I asked a friend, I was like, how do you do voiceovers? And they just kind of showed me. I was like, all right, well, I already have a couple of videos on here that are just like of me lifting, and I'll just voice over like, you know, my relatively educated opinion and see what happens. And that video blew up, and man, that was like, honestly, that was the day that my life changed. Realistically, from then on, it was just like,
how many views did that particular video get?
as of right now, I think it has like 750,000.
Nice.
But it was like I mean, that was like, I posted that in probably August of 2020. So, you know, right off the bat, probably something much, much less, like, you know, 400,000 or something like that, 300,000. Because obviously, you know, it gets that big spike in the first couple of days and dies off a bit. But it was kind of funny. I had like 20 followers when I posted that video, and it was all just like my buddies, like close friends. And then I'm pretty sure the next day I had 20,000. I think that was the biggest jump that I experienced. Yeah, I was like, man.
TikTok is definitely different than other platforms. So the thing that got it for me, this was a while ago. I've had TikTok since it first came out. It's just I didn't really know much about it, right?
Yeah.
But so I posted like a gym video of me training, and like on my Instagram it got whatever 300 likes, right? So I put it on TikTok as like one of my very first videos. I had like 15,000 views or 30,000 views or something, and it had like thousands of likes. And I was like, but that's the same video, and these people don't even know me. Why would they like it when like my own followers don't even like it? And like from there, it kind of spiraled on. And like I was like, you know what? You know, it's kind of a good video. Like I shop for bodybuilding every day for eating. Why don't I just post like me shopping at Costco? So like I just like did my Costco order, and it got like 1.9 million views. And I was like,
damn,
what?
Yeah.
What?
It's unheard of.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I remember when I posted that first video, I was like, I've never had more than, you know, 200 views on anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have, well, I do now, but, you know, I didn't have a YouTube account. So, and I know unless you're like a significant creator on YouTube, like you're not getting thousands of views. And then, you know, you post a video on Instagram, and even though it's public, like the algorithm just doesn't work the same way. And, it was the same thing, man. I had, like that I remember like looking through that video, because I posted it before I worked out that day, and I was looking through it while I was working out. I was like, damn, this has like, you know, a couple thousand views. Like that's really odd, and I'd never experienced that before. And then I was like, damn, and then it obviously, you know, kind of exploded, if you want to call it that. And it was crazy. I was like, damn, I better run with this. You know what I mean? I got to take this and do as much as I can with it. This is an opportunity for sure.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt you, man, but your camera quality is definitely not the best. Would you be able to connect to Wi-Fi and/or take it off Wi-Fi?
Yeah, just a sec. Let me try this. I might have.
Yeah, just what happens? It's like it was cool.
Okay.
What happens if you what? We'll give him a second, guys. We'll give him a second.
Yeah, I'm on the Wi-Fi. I might have to see if my roommate will get off, because that might be affecting it. Is that all right?
Okay. Let me put my phone on.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean,
is that cool?
All right, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's not terrible. It'll work, but we can hear you fine. It's just the problem is we can't really see you very much. But I'll talk to you guys in the meantime. All right. All right, guys. Well, happy Saturday. What everybody trained today? Everybody doing good? It's raw. I don't know, man. I don't know much about Canada, but.
All right. I just asked my roommate to see if he could, because he was on a FaceTime call as well, so that might be a little bit better.
Yeah. Tell him to get off the hub, bro. Tell him he could wait. We got a podcast to do, you know?
Yeah, bro. I think that should hopefully improve it. If it might take a couple seconds for the bandwidth to improve, but
yeah. Oh, good. We could talk about it, whatever. Be on for a little bit, but now I'm gonna destroy legs. All right. What's up, Ian? What up, Little Flames? Well, let's just dive straight into the question, just because like we got a lot to cover, and I don't want to hold you here all day, so we'll dive straight into it. All right. And then I'll save the question I told you everybody asked about you later. You know, we'll save that for later.
All right, cool.
All right. But so this one, just I guess we could both answer this, but in your opinion, why do you think teens are focusing more on supplements, anabolics, just everything that's not related to like hard work, diet, training? Why do you think the trend right now is kind of like getting to anabolics at a young age, getting to, not, you know, testosterone, just any sort of natural anabolic or hormone? Why do you think they're going for that instead of just focusing on the food, training, you know, etc.? What do you think changed?
I honestly think it's just exposure to the existence of those compounds. Like, if you think about how powerful TikTok is, we're just talking about it, right? You know, all of these kids who, you know, like before, if you like went to, you know, high school and nobody in your high school knew about like what a SARM was or anything like that, you just would never have gotten it. You know what I mean? But now, like, I guess the internet is empowering so many people. You know, there's all these 15-year-olds on TikTok now who are like, this is my newest SARM cycle. And then all these other 15-year-olds are like, oh, damn, what is this? Like, does it make it easier to get gains? And obviously everyone's always looking for a shortcut. I honestly think it's just that. It's like normalization of it. And then just like the accessibility to the information around it, whether it's, you know, absolutely crap information or not. You know, it's for the people who are just getting into it, they don't know the difference, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I was going to say the exact same thing. You just, you know, worded it same way I would have said it. But the only thing I'd say that I guess the reason that I'm so passionate about, like, you know, calling out these SOM kids, I try not to do it so much unless like they freaking post where to buy it from, then like I get pissed off. But the reason I'm so passionate about it is because when I was in high school, so 2012, 2013 or so, pro hormones had just came out, so they were as rampant as kind of like what SARMs are now. So like that's what we had in high school, and that's what kids were using. And I knew kids who got liver failure. I knew a kid who had to get a kidney transplant because they were selling us oral tren. They were selling us oral just like compounds. And they were so deadly to our liver, to our organs, and like they just weren't really marketing it like that. You know, you could buy it at the supplement store the same way you could buy SARMs now. And then in 2014, 2015, SARMs came out, and the way they were marketed to me was, oh, you know, they're new steroids without side effects. I was like, hell yeah, bro, give me that shit. Tried it, got every side effect in the book, did all my blood work. Blood work was destroyed, worse than a trend cycle. And I was like, you told me this shit wasn't liver toxic. What? So that was 2014. Fast forward 7 years later, we have all the knowledge to know not to take them because they're terrible for you. But for some weird reason, they just came back in full force, and everybody's like, wow, they're new, they're good for you. I was like, bro, no, I knew about this shit 7 years ago when it came out and have all the proof. And now, if anything, they're fake. So I don't know, man. It's the internet's wild. I guess that's what I can say.
No, I completely agree with you, because I remember when I was in first year university, that was 2016, and I had some friends who were like, yeah, man, like, do you know what SARMs are? And I was like, no, I've never heard of that before.
Not at all.
And they're like, yeah, dude, it's basically like steroids except without the side effects. I remember the exact, like, that's how it was like pitched to me too.
That's how they worded it, right
there. Yeah. I was like, this is interesting. Like, maybe I'll look into this. And I remember like scouring Google Scholar for like, you know, legitimate studies with like MK677 and all this stuff to see it, like how like actually, you know, reliable this information was. And for a little while there, I was like pretty tempted to try it. And then I just didn't see enough compelling evidence. I didn't see enough like literature or like sources that I could trust. Because I wasn't going to take, you know, some blog post off of like some random website or like a Reddit forum. Like I was like, I'm going to go look for like
Dyel'd could have wrote that himself, you know, like that's what they do.
So no, it's the exact same thing. And I just, with respect to the pro hormone you were talking about, like, I don't know which one of Derek's videos it was. You know who I mean by Derek, right? I'm assuming you're probably, I figure. And I can't remember which video it was, but he was talking about how, like, you know, every once in a while, these companies go back to this like garbage pile of pro hormones that like never even made it like to like clinical studies, because everyone was like, nah, these are like horseshit. And they bring them back and like make them, they're like, oh no, this is the next best thing. And I think he said there's kind of like a little bit of a cyclical pattern to that. So I honestly think SARMs are probably going to go through the same thing.
Yeah, and the chemists who make them, I mean, SARMs have already been out. Like, they were actually, a lot of SARMs were actually made by, you know, whatever chemist for real medical reasons. That was the original, you know, purpose. They didn't make them for gains, right? But a lot of them didn't make it to clinical trials. Sorry, none of them made the clinical trials except Osterine did, and I think MK had a trial. So it's like they were there, and the doctors were like, or whatever, whoever was doing it, chemist was like, this has no benefit to humans. We can't sell this, make money. We don't need it. Versus something such like growth hormone, testosterone, DECA, Anavar, all these things are made for humans. They have real, actual medical benefits. It's just we abuse them as bodybuilders. Maybe not we. You know what I mean? But,
no,
but
exactly.
yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. And one major thing, I'll tell you the super quick story just because you probably don't know about it. But a couple years ago, one of my good friends was actually a SARM dealer, a SARM creator, super smart guy. And so they were making in a freaking hotel, just living room, like just in the middle of their hotel.
No way.
And when they couldn't get Rad 140, they couldn't get MK, like quality of it, because it costs so much. It costs more than the raws of real PEDs. So they would get D-ball, they would get old pro hormones, and they would just put it in the pill and then tell you that's what it was. And since most people are teenagers, they're like, wow, man, I put on 10, 15 pounds of, on the scale. And it's like, they didn't actually take Rad 140, they took D-ball. They took anadrol. And it's like, they don't know the difference. They're happy that they're getting gains. So they don't care about health, they care about money. And he was honest about it. He's like, I don't give a shit, bro. Making hundreds of $1,000s on kids' health. But, it is what it is.
That's an ethical thing, because like kids aren't going to go get their blood work done either. You know what I mean?
No.
They're like someone who I think probably knows more than me said that it's healthy, or like at least not going to give me sides, and I'm making 15 pounds. Like, sick. I'm just going to keep doing it and tell all my friends about it.
Yep. And then the main thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had a buddy who he did a SARM cycle as well. I'm pretty sure the cycle was like MK and Rad, and he put on like, I want like something astronomical. Like he put on 35 pounds in like a month, and it was like he didn't, like his body fat looked the same.
Yeah,
I think, and he was like, and then I think he also said his bench went from 315 for 1 to like 6 reps. So if you think about adding 5 reps, well, it's more impressive if you look at it from a percentage perspective of your 1 rep, and you multiply that by 6. Like, that's an insane strength increase.
That just doesn't happen. That's wild.
No,
I think
he was like, he definitely had
a lot of them are really good for strength. Specifically, Rad 140 is great for strength. But I guess the problem is people don't think about when you put on 30 pounds of water weight on your frame, your heart is working harder. You're going to get some freaking cankles. Like that water has to go somewhere. Dude. It's not just going to go to your muscles. You're stronger, but your blood pressure is 170 over 120. Was it worth it? So
definitely not, man. Definitely not. But
all right.
Too, he definitely had D-ball. Like it was. There's no way, even if you had
probably had
your Rad and MK, there's no way you can put that kind of size on. Like it's absurd.
Yeah, I've tried Rad 140. I put on maybe 2 to 3 pounds of water weight. It was very lean. It was very lean without estrogen blocker. So him taking put on 30 pounds of water, you do the math.
Goddamn.
All right, we'll get off the SARM category and keep it more universal here.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you get your COVID vaccine? Are you going to get your COVID vaccine, and do you think it's going to affect you as a bodybuilder?
So, I have not gotten my COVID vaccine. In my province, they're not allowing our age group to get it yet. They're going like top down. So, I think right now the age group that's allowed is like 40 years old and up. My age group, which I would assume is probably characterized as like 20 to 30, I think we're supposed to get our first dose next month.
Okay.
By the end of June, I guess. I honestly haven't looked into the research around the vaccines, but like I don't really buy into the whole, these vaccines are like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means.
Of course.
I've heard everything from like these vaccines have microchips in them to like these vaccines are just a way to keep us subdued or like all that kind of stuff. I have heard, from I don't even want to say reasonably like reputable sources, because to be honest, I'm a huge skeptic. So regardless if it's from, the left or the right, or from the major media agencies, or like, the smaller independent media agencies, like I take everything with a grain of salt.
Of course.
And I haven't done my due diligence to develop an opinion on whether or not the vaccine is like a good idea. As far as I'm concerned, I think I'll probably get it, because at this point, like I don't see a lot of like the professionals in the industry, not the fitness industry, but just like the health industry, who I think do utilize an independent voice. It's just like any other vaccine. I know that's not technically true in the sense that like they're using a different method, like with respect to spike proteins as opposed to like using a dead virus or whatever. And again, I don't want to say too much on it because I'd be speaking out of turn, which I try to avoid. But I'm thinking I probably will get it. Other than maybe feeling like a little under the weather for a couple of days, I can't imagine it's going to affect me as a bodybuilder. And then if I'm planning on going down to the States, for example, I know that you guys down there have like, I know it's dependent on the state, but you guys have a little bit of a different.
I'm in California, bro. We have any rule you could ever imagine in the rest of the state is like amplified here. If we're in so yeah, you probably aren't doing much here without a vaccine, honestly.
Yeah. And that's why I was thinking, like, to be honest, like if I'm going to go south, if I'm going to go move to the States, like I know, for example, I was probably expecting to move to Texas because of the lack of restrictions. So, you know, like the onus is kind of on me as an individual to like bear the risk. And then also just like because there's a couple of other creators down there, so it'd be easy to do collabs with.
Oh yeah, they're all in town. It's cheap.
Yes.
It's
that's the other thing too.
Way cheaper than out here, bro. You don't want to live out here.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is the cost of living there is like even like way less than it is even here.
Really?
Yeah, so like that's why I was thinking, you know what? I mean, if they're going to be giving it, because I know that also it's different here in Canada just with respect to like healthcare system and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I figured, to be honest, like if I had to make a decision right now, I would get it. Although, you know, like I said, am a skeptic, so I'll do my due diligence. Like I'll look into it a little bit, but yeah, that's probably where I'm at with it right now. Sorry, that was such a long-winded reply.
It's good. I mean, it's a topic that I'm sure some people want to know about. They asked the question. I'll try to find, more brief, I guess. But yeah,
Sorry.
so no, it's all good. But no, so I have a low immune system. I'm sure you probably didn't know that, but I was born with a naturally low immune system. So the second that I found out that like there was a vaccine, bro, I was running. Like my immune system doctor called me. She's like, "Yo, you need to get on that list." I was like, "I'm an online coach. I don't work with people in person. Like, how am I going to get marked off? Because I'm 26. So I'm in that 20 to 30 where like we just don't get it. So I found a way to get it. But either way, so I got it the second I could.
Nice,
and it knocked your ass out a little bit. The first shot was all right. Didn't notice the second shot. I was in bed. We were actually going to go live. I think that was the day we were going to go live. And I got my second shot. Yeah, bro, I couldn't get out of bed for like 2 days. I was done. I couldn't move.
So it really hit you,
Yeah, it was just like having a really bad flu. That'd be the closest way I could describe it. And then after that, it was cool. Like I don't really notice it, but like, yeah, it's But in terms of bodybuilding, when I looked into it a little bit, the only thing that I saw that for some people it caused their blood to clot, specifically more in women. Now, for men, specifically bodybuilders, they'd use a lot of PEDs, right? It makes our blood thicker. All those things happen. So a lot of bodybuilders, and by a lot I mean over 5, which isn't very common, but over 5 bodybuilders have actually ended up in the hospital due to something blood clot related, and all of them were on PEDs. All of them got the vaccine all at the same time. So they're saying maybe it's something related to that. And that's the only thing I can think of, Barry. Only thing I think of like anabolic related, bodybuilding related. But I don't know. I'd still get it regardless. But that was my.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I think I saw that too, like very, very briefly. And again, it was on social media. It was, with respect to the whole blood clot risk.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I think, like, to be honest, if you want to quantify like all this risk, which is extremely difficult to do, but like, I think the risk of like getting a blood clot from having the virus itself was like way, way higher. And then, you know, even if you get the virus and you don't develop a blood clot from it, like the chances of you, getting really messed up from the virus, because like some people it passes through like nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my coach, he said he had it very briefly. He said it was like he never felt bad, but he had a positive test.
Are you talking about having COVID in general?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And he said, he didn't even feel like crap, but he did the safety precautions, whatever that were mandatory in his state. And, and then he said like, it just like it passed through him, like, even more like nonchalantly than like, the flu would or whatever. So, but other people are like seriously affected by it. They develop like neurological issues and stuff like that. So I guess you just kind of have to weigh your specific situation, right?
Yeah. Cause I coach a shit ton of people all over the world, right? Like I have people in almost every state in America at this point, and in a couple in other countries. Damn. So I have a lot of people in California and Texas who got COVID. And I had a lot of people who got it in like Florida and New York, just because that's most where all my clients are. Now, the ones in Texas and California, all of them ended up really, really sick, like, damn near in the hospital and or in the hospital. But then all the ones like the East Coast, like they were just sick for a couple of days. And I was like, man, that's so weird. I was like, is it different strains? Is it just like our immune system's different? But yeah, it's like half my clients were like legit dying. And the other half were just like, oh yeah, I got COVID. It's cool. I'm gonna go to the gym anyway. And like, it just threw me off. I was like, bro, like, how do you know who gets it and who doesn't? It's such a weird virus. I don't know, but either way.
I that's why I think like, if you can get the vaccine, like I think it's probably worth it,
All right. We'll keep it going. On average, how many hours do you try to sleep for when you're trying to, grow, I guess is what they're trying to say.
I usually sleep 9 hours a night.
Okay.
That's usually what I try and hit. And like it's honestly every single night. Yeah, I would say because I find sleep really affects like my output.
Yeah.
And I also find that I'm really susceptible to like if my routine changes. So like usually I'll sleep from, ideally like 10:30, 11 to, 8, 7:30, 8. Trying to
Yeah.
do that math in my head.
Yeah.
And but if I do like 12 to 9, like I still feel like crap. So for me, it's important to do both. But that's usually what I try and hit is 9 hours. What about you?
Okay. Yeah. So since I work online, I'm at home, majority of the day. So I sleep from 12 to 9. I don't know why. It's just like my body likes that. I wish I could go to sleep at 10 and wake up at like 7 or something, but like I go to sleep at 12, wake up at 9 every day, and I get my 9 hours, and that's how I feel great. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that. Yeah, ideally, anything less than 8 though, bro, I wake up feeling like shit. I don't know how these people like go about their daily lives with like kids, family, getting 6, 7 hours of sleep, bro. There's no way I'd function. I'd be half dead.
Yeah. No, I'm the exact same. Like, and I definitely think like I push myself pretty hard in the gym and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I'm the same way. And it's, I think that's one of those things. Sleep is so variable. There's so many people that I know who can function off of like a routine 6 hours. I'm like, I don't understand that, but
they probably aren't bodybuilders. We'll put it that way. They might be a normal person. Then they might
yeah.
go. All right. It's a random question, but I'll go with it anyway. When you use creatine, if you use creatine, are you a fan of monohydrate or are you a fan of the what's it called? What's the other one? Monohydrate
Hydrochloride.
HCl. Yeah.
Yeah, I always use monohydrate. Just because, obviously all of the literature suggests that monohydrate is the one to go with. And I don't get like GI distress from it, so I don't see any need to take the HCl. Also, mono's cheaper.
There we go. Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, I always use monohydrate. I've tried a couple. I almost said the word cycle, but either way, I cycle creatine anyway. But when I took creatine, I tried monohydrate a couple months. I tried HCl a couple months. So what my final outcome was for me personally was that when I used monohydrate, I felt stronger, and I had a lot more water weight on my frame. Like I just like would retain water so badly. But when I took HCl, I didn't really notice anything different. When I get on monohydrate, I notice a couple extra reps in the tank always, just something I feel. But on HCl, I noticed nothing really. And like, I don't know, I just got super bad headaches. I tried 2 different brands and like, I just didn't notice much. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like my body just didn't react to 2 different brands of HCl. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to stick with monohydrate forever. But a lot of people reported me that they actually felt stronger on HCl and had less water retention. So I guess that's one of the most common things people say, but I don't know.
I'm actually like a non-responder in the sense that like, I don't notice any weight gain, like any water weight at all.
Really?
And I honestly don't notice like any strength increase. I just, creatine has just like such a laundry list of benefits that I just take it anyway because, better safe than sorry. And I want to, optimize performance and recovery and all that stuff as much as I can. So,
yeah. I mean, I think you might notice it maybe. You're not a powerlifter, right? You're from a bodybuilding background?
Honestly, right now, I'd definitely say I would say both. Like basically my workouts usually consist of like starting with a compound and like a periodized compound. And then I go into kind of like a secondary compound. And then after that, it's more like 8 to 12 reps, RPE 8 for the compound accessories and accessory stuff.
Okay.
So power builder, if you want to call it that, I guess.
Yeah. What I was getting at with that question is, yeah, I've tried that before too, actually. But yeah, what I was getting at is that I only notice creatine a lot when I'm in like that 3 to 5 rep range. When I'm actually more of like powerlifting or like really focusing on power, that's where I notice a small benefit. Whether it was just getting 1 extra rep or like that 5th rep is just way easier than it normally is. That's the only thing I noticed on creatine. Like my power output was so much better. But being that I've never lifted anything under 8 reps ever again, because I train bodybuilding only or hypertrophy only, like I don't really notice it. I might get like a little bit more muscular endurance, but like I could take beta alanine if I wanted that. So I forget to take creatine. So honestly, I just don't really take it too much, but I get free. Sometimes I take it.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, good.
I was just going to say like, a lot of the gorilla supplements have it in them. Like when I take, the post-workout has 5 grams of creatine in it, and then like some of the pre-workouts. So like that's usually where my creatine comes from. But then I have just like a bag of monohydrate that I take on my like rest days in the morning.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is kind of a weird question, but I guess it'd be a cool like debate.
Cool.
So at what age do you think that someone can know that they have potential to get their pro card or do well in competing?
This is going to be way more in your area of expertise. I'm honestly not very like versed in the whole like competition aspect of bodybuilding. Um,
I always forget you don't compete just because like you look dope, and I'm so used to like early 20s, like people are getting on stage. I always forget like you don't actually
Thanks,
compete.
bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
I forgot.
no, it's one of those things that I like. If I'm gonna do it, like I want to make sure that like I'm coming in and like really competing for a top spot, and I don't
Yeah,
think I'm there yet by any means. So like
yeah,
I'm gonna
you're
wait.
still
I'm
young.
gonna continue to grind and train as hard as I can. You know what I mean? With the goal of looking as good as possible.
Yeah,
But it's not like the last thing I'd want to do is like potentially like lose out on productive growing months because I'm prepping for a show that I'm going to come in like 10th, 15th place anyway. I'm also not really like I feel like I'd be uncomfortable on stage, but I mean, I feel like, you don't really know until you're up there. So
it'd be one of those things. Just this is for you specifically. It'd be one of those things I would just suggest you do it one time. Like just do it, put it on your bucket list, try it, and like whether you get your ass kicked, whether you end up winning, you never really know, right?
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
definitely something I want to try once. And it's like I've done 6 shows, 7 shows, and like the competing and getting on stage is like it's whatever to me. It's like it's there. It's kind of high anxiety because like you're in front of everybody, but it's like
yeah,
the process, the countdown is like what I live for. Like that's the
yeah,
best part. Like looking at the calendar and be like, yo, I got 56 days. I got 7 weeks left. Like if I don't come in point, then I'm getting my ass kicked. So
yeah.
that's the only thing I like about it. But in terms of the question about pretty much just like how would you know your genetics to get into a pro card? Bodybuilding is like the only sport where like it's kind of hard to explain. Like if you're like a raw ass baseball or football player in high school, you typically know pretty quick. You got the scouts coming to you, you might go play D1 and then you have a chance. Like bodybuilding, you don't really know. Like you can take your natural genetics pretty far. And like, let's say someone like Flores is natural. Like he looks great. But at the same time, some people respond really well to anabolics and some people don't. So let's
Mm,
say Flores is natural now, and he's like, you know what, next year I want to go turn pro. He hops on PEDs, his body reacts terrible. He looks worse
mm,
than what he did natural. So
mm.
it's really hard to tell. There's no age, there's no nothing. Either you have to try competing. If you want to use PEDs, you'd have to try that and see if you respond. Because all these guys at
Yeah,
the very top, they are hyper responders to the PEDs. They're hyper responders to training, and then they respond really well to the diet. So it's like it's all genetics. You can't change
yeah,
that. Like hard work is there, but
yeah.
that's all I
And
wanted to say. Not much you can say.
no, I agree with that. I think it was you too. You shared, I think it was Sean Clarita. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, yeah, Sean Carita.
Yeah. So you shared his like a couple pictures of him at his first show a couple of times with the message basically of being like, you don't know until you go all in for a little bit to see. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
Because he looked like what was he, 120 pounds or something
He
like
looked
that?
like a child. He looked
Yeah.
like a
Yeah. So like, and then he's like he's a Mr. Olympia. So I mean, I'm with you there. Like, it's not one of those things. Like, I even know guys like playing football. You're around a lot of like pretty jacked dudes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you obviously football training isn't necessarily the same as bodybuilding training, but like being in the weight room is certainly an aspect for football. And playing football, I was around some dudes who like. They're like, yeah, I don't even work out. And I'm like, you look like you work out. Like, I feel like if you started training, you would look insane. And then there's other guys who are like, I don't work out and they don't look good at all, but then they pick weights up and they just explode. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things like you might look really good without training, and then training is really doesn't, provide like a great stimulus or whatever it may be. Or you can be vice versa, right? Where you like, you don't look good, but then you can just look at weights and grow, right? So.
Yeah, and then I'll just use myself for an example, kind of branching off of that, because like I'm 6'1", and I was always just skinny as hell. Like I was a baseball player, I was good at baseball, but I was like, what, I love lifting. Like that's kind of how it happened. And
Yeah.
I won this random 1-year transformation contest at like 20 years old, and I put on like 20-something pounds of muscle, like naturally. And I was like,
Damn.
oh shit, like maybe I have a chance to grow, maybe I have good shape. And
Yeah.
I did my first show naturally, right? I only used like some over-the-counter fat burners, and like I took 5th out of 13. And I was like, holy
Damn.
shit. Like I took 5th, and like I literally cheated on my diet like a couple times here and there. And like, I fucked around, right? And then the second year I used a minimum amount of, PEDs, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm growing, I'm doing well. And then I won 5 shows in a row, all within like 6 months. And I was like, oh,
Damn.
maybe I do have a future in this. Maybe the shit is easy for me. And it's like, I wouldn't have known because I was a 170-pound baseball player that I could be like a potentially pro men's physique or pro Clot, whatever the hell I want to go to. But like,
yeah, exactly.
You have no idea till you try. You have no idea.
Agreed.
All right, let's keep it going here. Okay. What do you favor in bodybuilding? Are you a fan of aesthetics or size? What are you a fan of? I don't think they're saying for yourself. I think they're saying just in our industry in general.
Yeah, I want to say aesthetics, but I really think that part of being aesthetic is like having size. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like if you're like small and you're aesthetic, like I think that looks great. But personally, I like the look of like, like some like men's physique is getting to the point where like there's because I saw that I think you made a TikTok
Yeah.
about this recently about the guys in
Yeah.
men's physique are getting like pretty big.
Yep.
Um, as far as I'm concerned, I think classic physique is like the epitome or like the pinnacle of bodybuilding because it's that nice like balance between the two of them.
Yeah.
And of course, like as someone who lifts, like I can appreciate both perspectives, both
Sure.
extremes, like the mass monsters and then like open class and like, these absolutely like upside down Christmas tree physique competitors, right? Like I can appreciate both
Yeah.
of them, but in my opinion, I think the classic physique division is the most aesthetic. So I think that's kind of a cop-out answer because that's like combining the two of them. But
Yeah.
if I had to pick one, I'd probably say aesthetics, but like a big aesthetic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Okay. No, I got you. Yeah. So just in terms of being a fan of bodybuilding on my end, I love the mass monsters. I would never
Yeah.
want to be. Like I cannot be one. I know what they have to do to get there, and I don't want to do it. But yeah, I just like how big they get. Like I know like there's a reason why they get paid $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 to win a show, and like Classic gets paid 25,000. Like, there's a reason for it. They bring in
Yeah.
the fan. Now
Yeah.
from on the outside, just us looking in, like the average person, like Classic is very appealing to us because it looks achievable, even if it's not. It looks achievable in our eyes because they're like, damn, he's only 198 pounds, not knowing he's 2% body fat, all muscle. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
looks also like it just looks very pretty.
Yeah.
But what puts people in seats is typically open, and I just don't think open's ever really going to die at this point.
No, no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, yeah. Every class is unique. That's the only thing I could really say. But I like size just because it's different. It's such a
Yeah.
weird look, and I do
Yeah.
think that physique's getting too big. But when I talk to some of I'm not friends with all of them, but I'm friends with a good amount of like really top men's physique guys. One of them's number 3 in the world, and I was talking to him, and he was just saying that like you don't realize how big Classic is until you're next to him. He's like, I'm big. I won a pro show, but it's like I stand next to the 10th place guy in the Olympian Classic, and I'm getting, I look like a child next to him.
Yeah.
So just that they hold muscle in different spots than us, or different spots than other people, like kind of how like, I'm trying to think of an example. Asian competitors have very thin bones, very small bones. So when they put on mass, it's all muscle. They don't have like a black guy who has very heavy bones. So the scale weight is different. So we don't really think about that sometimes. We get so focused on the scale weight, not like what they actually look like. But every division's different. I don't know where it's going to go in the future. I guess we'll see, but I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I don't think that open will ever die either because, like you said, it's such a people want to see like the limits of people, like the human potential, right? And for the guys that are willing to wear the risk, and fill that role, like those, like you said, that's what fills seats. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I can see that being the case.
Yeah, that's to give an example, just like how you would know is like, well, let's just say there's like a men's physique. There's only a certain amount of shows per year, right? And not every show has pro men's physique. Like they usually only have one. It'll be like this show is pro men's physique and pro bikini, or this show's pro open. This show's pro, like they'll only have one pro category at the show. And typically every show that has open in it sells out. But then something like pro men's physique might not sell out, or pro bikini might not sell out. So they kind of base it off that because people want to just see that 300-pound dude on stage shredded. Even if they don't like it, they still want to like go see it. So
Absolutely.
I think that they get paid so much. All right.
Definitely.
So what do you do for a job outside of fitness? I know, like you said, or whatnot. Do you have any desire to be like an online coach or anything in that realm, or that doesn't interest you?
I don't know. I want to say not in the immediate future. Just because I still have so much on my plate with respect to like learning the whole content game.
Yeah.
I'm still at the point sometimes where I'm like making a TikTok and I just have to sit back and shake my head. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But as far as like a job, I currently am not employed as far as like an official 9 to 5 or anything like that. Like I said, I was a student. I just graduated. And I'm right now I'm sustaining myself. I'm sustained financially. So I'm using this kind of free time to really jump headfirst into content creation and just see what I can do in that realm. As far as like future, I did like I had definitely have considered the idea of coaching, or like even just selling plans, something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm always afraid of like overestimating my knowledge. You know what I mean? Like I would hate to think that I'm knowledgeable enough to coach somebody and then realize like, you know what, I don't think this person, you know, I think this person deserves something better or something like that, right? So I think you definitely have to believe in yourself, but I'm always hard on myself to make sure that I am producing like a sufficient, ideally, you know, optimal output. But you know, we'll see. It's something that I don't have the room for right now anyway, but something that I may consider in future for sure.
So two questions. One, are you just living off savings then, or living off TikTok money if you don't have a job, or?
Yeah, basically living off savings and then a combination of like my commissions as well.
Got you. Hey, bro, make sure to go support your boy. You know, I know I'm on team with him, but you know he's got sponsors too. I might need to get some play or something.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And then the second question, what was I going with this? We were talking about working. Oh, I was just gonna branch off into it, but I was gonna say just in terms of if you did want to do coaching, you know, I've done this for like a long time at this point. I started like 2015, like doing it full time, and like my first year or two, man, like it was scary. Like it's kind of like you said, like you. And in my area, it was especially scary because I have 3 of the best coaches in the world all within driving distance of me. Like I have 3 of the best bodybuilding coaches all next to me. So it's like,
Damn.
why would they come to me when they could
Yeah.
go to Cuts, Ventura, or, you know, any of these other guys who like have time and time again created the best athletes in the world. So it was kind of intimidating at first. And like, I just put myself out there, you know, I did it for free. Like I coached like 15, 20 people for absolute free for practice. After that, I charged $100 a month. And then, you know, fast forward now, I've worked over 500 people, and at some point I'm probably gonna be like $400 a month. So it's like,
Yeah, damn.
over time you grow, you learn, but that first year, man, like, it's very intimidating because like, it's like you said, you might overestimate what you know, but my best advice would be, someone taught me this a long time ago, one of my favorite coaches, and he said, coach to your level. So he's saying like, you don't go coach a competitor if you've never fucking competed, you know, like don't go that. Or, you know, if you've never done a powerlifting meet, don't coach a powerlifter. Whatever you're familiar with, whatever your niche is that you're confident in, then coach in that, you know, and then work your way up from there. And that's what I did. You know, I don't coach open bodybuilders. I'm great at men's physique and classic. I stick to what I know. All right.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Okay. When you're training, are you a fan of the bro split, push-pull legs, or the upper lower? What is your favorite splits?
I'm a fan of hitting muscle groups twice a week. So the bro split's not really something that I would like advocate for. Although I am well aware that like if volume's equated for, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I also just like training like frequently. You know what I mean? So like for me, like I don't like going into the gym and being like, okay, today I'm only doing this muscle group. Like I just like training so much that like ideally I would work out full body every day. But like, you know, I want to make gains, so that's not really a good idea. But so if I had to pick out of those options, I'd say push-pull legs probably. Just because, like, you know, if you want to take one rest day a week, you can do that. You can cycle through that split twice. Even upper lower, I'm a fan of that as well. Or even like a push-pull. My current split, because I'm working with a powerlifting coach, but I've communicated to him that I don't want to be a powerlifter. I just want to be strong. So my current split is like a combination. I guess you could consider it full body. But it's not any of like the major splits that people talk about all the time. And I actually really enjoy it because it does keep me kind of like interested. But yeah, like honestly, my least favorite day of that split is the only day that I don't hit legs because it's just upper push, which a lot of people love because it's basically like a chest day.
What was the day when I posted on TikTok? I was like, "What's everybody's least favorite day?" And I think you said chest, right? And I was like, "What? What? That's unheard of as a man."
Yeah, I just don't because I think it's because my chest sucks, and I usually really like hitting my weaknesses because I like the idea of bringing my weaknesses up. But I have a bad shoulder, and it just makes working chest that much less satisfying. So that's kind of that's why I said that.
Did you end up cutting out like all barbell movements, Smith machine movements to just stick with machines and dumbbells? Did you find a better contraction with that?
so right now, because I'm trying to be strong on bench, we're still working with the barbell like a good
Okay.
amount. But if I were going purely for hypertrophy, yeah, I probably wouldn't touch a barbell at all, to be honest. Because
Okay.
yeah, definitely, like I really like low incline dumbbell, or even flat dumbbell. I like those movements far more in terms of like the contraction that I can get from it.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. Before we move on to the next question, here's a question that I keep seeing it in the comments here. Has anybody ever told you you look like Chris Bumstead?
I get
Maybe
that
the mustache?
occasionally. Yeah, just because of the mustache. Every time someone says that, I'm like, yo, you can't disrespect Chris like that. But I do get that like here and there. But it's really only if I have the mustache. And at one point I had a big beard, and sometimes
Yeah.
C-Bum has that beard too. But I mean, I get that like occasionally, yeah. The
Okay.
Walmart version, I would take that. That would be a
And,
huge compliment for me.
and then the follow-up question that we discussed earlier that everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
How do you feel about people always mentioning, or I saw in your comments too a couple times, I always see people like, are you natural? Are you a fake natural? Like, how do you feel about people calling you a fake natural when like you are indeed natural? Does it bother you, or do you just let go about your day doing it?
No, it doesn't bother me at all because I don't I don't blame people for thinking that, because there are so many fake natties.
Yeah.
And I take it as a huge compliment, because to
Oh,
me,
definitely.
like, I've been grinding for 8 years now, and to be at the point where people are like, I think he is or could be a fake natty, like obviously, I'm doing something right, So for me, I take
Huge
that as
compliment.
a huge compliment. Yeah.
All right. And then I guess just a follow-up question, just because I always ask everybody this, if you ever competed, or if, would you ever be interested in ever trying any PEDs, or does that not interest you?
Oh, it definitely does interest me. But not to like the extreme extent, you know what I mean? Like I would never I'm seeing enough success training natty, that I don't think I would need. Well, I guess that entirely depends on how responsive I would be to anabolics, but
Yeah.
I don't think that I would need like anything crazy to achieve a level where I'd be like happy with.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to break any world records. I don't want to be a Mr. Olympia. Like I don't need to be the best in anything, because I don't train to be like I don't train for these extrinsic goals. I just train because I really enjoy it. Um, but I definitely have thought about that. And actually, it's funny because I just posted a TikTok the other day talking about how I view steroids. Um, and if I were to take steroids, it would only be because I love training so much that if you
Yeah.
took, I think this could be ignorant, but if I took like a reasonable dose of PEDs, like a moderate cycle of something,
Yeah.
I think that would be enough to make training more enjoyable and more fulfilling,
Yeah.
um, while not really traveling too far into the danger zone as far as health complications or the potential for that. And that would be why I would take gear if I ever did. It would be just to make training that much more enjoyable, because it's already something that like my whole life revolves around. Like I'm absolutely obsessed with it and I love it. So if I could take something that would allow me to train more and be better and be stronger and look better and have higher energy, like I would do that, because that's all the things that I want and prioritize anyway. You know what I mean? But at
Yeah.
this point, just because of all the health complications, I haven't ventured in there yet.
Yeah, so the pros and cons of that, I'd say the pros are like kind of what you said, like immediately what you do notice being on, regardless of what you're taking, you're always going to start with testosterone regardless. But
Mm.
assuming you're testosterone, what most people start with, the first thing you notice is the pumps, bro. The pumps are mind blowing. It's just because your body's producing more red blood cells. Your hemoglobin start going through the roof. That's why you have to donate blood. But your
Yeah,
pumps are through the roof. That's the first thing you notice, and like that's more enjoyable in the gym. Now,
exactly.
on top of that, the recovery. So, you beat your ass in the gym. Let's say, I know you don't do, the bro split, but let's just say you did a hard ass chest day, 2 hours. By Wednesday, Thursday, you're good. Your body's recovered. You feel
Yeah,
fine.
man.
You
Yeah.
can do that whole thing over again. Now, the side effects that I've seen, just not even my experience, just in general, is that a lot of people don't know their health history. And
Mm.
they may know, like, oh, my mom was diabetic. They know that. But they don't know, like, oh, my mom has this rare heart disease, or this rare, valve in our heart is bigger than what it should be. Like the little things that can get blown up from anabolic use. And I've seen some
Mm.
really scary cases of people just using testosterone only cycles, or using, growth hormone, and not knowing that they already had an enlarged heart. Now their heart's even bigger. And like
Yeah.
all these things, you just have to make sure it's out of the way before going down that road. Because in
Yeah.
theory, these aren't that dangerous if done correctly, but it's those really weird anomalies that you don't know about with your body, and then you toss them in, and then you're fucked. That's really all there is to say. So if you ever do go down that road, just make sure that you can get like a quick health scan, make sure that everything is on point. You know, maybe get an X-ray, check it all out, then go down the road. So that'd be my advice.
No, that's exactly the way I was looking at it too, because I actually have a lot of health-related anxiety as it is. I think stemming from, I had like a really bad bone infection a couple of years ago, and I ended up having 4 surgeries on my knee because of it.
Oh shit!
And for a little while there, I was on antibiotics for like 8 months, and there was a possibility I was going to lose my leg, and I was like that. Yeah, so that for me, I was like, damn, like I think now that the reason I'm so sensitive to like anything health related is probably because of that. So for me to go into like PED use, like I would be, you know, over the top, like neurotically careful about it. You know, I would do all of like the preemptive measures and stuff like that. You know, I would do blood tests like never mind, every 2 weeks or something.
You'd probably end up giving yourself anxiety just thinking you're going to get side effects. You'd probably go like freaking out. That might not be the best route for you, you know?
Yeah, especially like some of the compounds, like I know like some of the compounds, the side effects are just like, you know, you don't sleep at all and you get really bad anxiety and like, you know, stuff like that. So that's another reason that I wouldn't, you know, mess with any of like the really aggressive stuff. I know like, for example, I've heard, you know, horror stories about doing tren and guys that are on tren just like go insane.
But if you dove straight into trend, then like you kind of get what's coming to you. You know, if I had to give you the street drug version, that'd be like testosterone would be like, you know, weed, cannabis, right? It's on the lower end. You know, it's the beginner one. And then if you hopped on trend, that's like jumping to heroin, bro. It's so far away, and like just because it's in the same bottle, just because it's a liquid, they just put them in the same category. That's not how it works, you know?
No.
All right. Somebody asked a question here. To what extent are these somewhat complicated exercises on N1 necessary in a program? What is the N1?
N1. Do you know who Coach Kasim is?
Mm-mm.
So Coach Kasim owns, I think he owns it, but he's like the head coach at N1 Training Systems.
Mm-hmm.
You should definitely check them out if you don't know who they are. They have like basically, in my opinion, they're like kind of like the pinnacle of training dictated by biomechanics.
Okay.
And they have like really, I mean, like they're all about hypertrophy. Kasim has a ton of great content just about like, you know, the best ways to everything from like arm path when you're doing specific exercises to like fully lengthen or like emphasize the end range and all that kind of stuff. But with respect to that question, I definitely don't think, unless you're somebody who's like, who A, like just really cares, which totally understandable, or B is like a pro and like, you know, you're at that point where, you know, you've done your like first 10 years of training and like now you're kind of dipping into like that last couple of percent of like gains, genetic potential, if you will. Although I don't think that you would be there already after only 10 years, but I think those are probably the only times that you like really need that. You know, you can get some of the basic principles from M1 stuff or N1 stuff and be like more than set. I don't think you need to go like so over the top, like down that rabbit hole, because they are quite complicated. So I think for like the general person, you know, if you abide by, you know, for the most part, you know, full range of motion exercises, pick the ones that you feel the best, that work with your leverages the best, like you're going to be fine.
All right. Yeah. Off camera, just DM it to me. I'll check.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Is testosterone 447 nanogram per deciliter at 19 low? On paper, the doctor's going to tell you that's high as hell. They're not going to do shit for you. In my opinion, anything under 500, you actually qualify for TRT at pretty much every clinic. So do what you want with that information. I think you can still live with it. It should be fine. Now, the thing that, you know, this is the problem that I didn't want with the video I posted yesterday. Like, I didn't expect it to go viral. When I was talking about, you know, our new generation having low testosterone, the problem that I'm having with this is now everybody's freaking out about having low testosterone. So our body can use what we have. So let's just say Evan is born with 200 testosterone. That'd be incredibly low. It'd be like a 90-year-old man. But if he was born with it, our body's going to think it's normal. We're going to accept that as what's normal. And, you know, we might have low estrogen to compensate it. We might have like a really high free testosterone. So even though it's low, you can still have a high sex drive. You can still grow. You can still do all these things because your body utilizes what little it has. Now, someone who would have issues is if someone like Evan had 900 testosterone naturally, he hopped on 5 cycles. Now his natural testosterone's back down to 200. Then yes, he is screwed. His body's used to getting 900. Now it's only getting 200. He's going to have some issues. So that'd be someone who'd more so qualify for TRT. But if you're at 400, you feel good. nothing is like wrong with you, then like don't worry about it, bro. It's not related. So hopefully that helped you. All right. All right, this is a good question for you. Because you are a natural bodybuilder. So for someone who wants to be a lifelong natural bodybuilder, what do you think is some general tips on for them to get as big as possible?
Oh, damn. I gotta say, some general tips. Are we talking like how general? Because I would say like learn the absolute most that you can.
I guess let's be more specific than that. But let's just say someone's a 19-year-old kid, 18 to 19-year-old kid. They want to be natural. They want to bulk up and put on muscle and not get fat. Let's maybe talk about that. We'll narrow it down some.
Okay, so you definitely want to, like, if you're going to be a natty, like, you really got to dial in everything because, you know, guys on gear can make gains in spite of like suboptimal recovery methods and training methods. You know, natty guys can do that too. Like, you know, I played football with some genetic freaks who, you know, train like idiots and are massive.
Still grew, still strong.
Yeah, absolutely. But you definitely want to optimize everything with respect to, you know, eating, recovery, you know, getting your 9 hours of sleep every night or whatever your body needs, and then training well and optimizing your training split. But honestly, the biggest thing I would say is, or actually, one more thing I will say as well is you got to be super patient. Like, you need to be patient. And if you're not patient, then you've lost before you even started. You know, there's guys like the 3DMJ guys who are like all natty. Like those guys are, do you know who, you know, what's his name? I think it's Jeff. 3DM Godfather, 3DMJ Godfather.
Yeah, I know that team.
Yeah, so he talks about pennies in the bank. You know what I mean? He just talks about consistency over time. Like, that guy's still growing. He's like 40 years old, and he's still improving his physique. And, you know, that's patience, right? It's commitment, consistency, and patience, which is absolutely huge if you're going to be natty. But then as far as, like, specifics would go, like, man, I think you've got to spend a lot of time. I think you really got to stretch out your bulk and cut cycles. This might be speaking out of turn a little bit, but, you know, I think you should bulk as long as you can until you're like, okay, now I need to cut. And by that, I mean like for example, so for me, I've been bulking since January 1st, and I've been putting on about a pound a week with a conservative surplus. So that's absolutely huge. Is if you don't want to get fat, you got to maintain a conservative surplus. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be different for everyone, but yeah, I think the general ballpark for a conservative surplus is probably no more than 500 calories, right? You want to continue to eat a relatively high protein diet because that's going to facilitate a little bit of a leaner body composition, only because high protein is, you know, it's thermogenic in itself, and it keeps you from overeating other foods and that kind of stuff. And it really makes sure that your muscle protein synthesis is elevated kind of as much as possible. And then I think you just got to ride that wave as long as you can. So like I said, I've been bulking since January 1st. Initially, I didn't have a goal weight in mind. I just wanted to bulk until I was like, okay, now I'm fatter than I want to be, so I'm going to cut. Or I'm like, you know, getting to the point where I'm heavy enough that I'm sure I have made substantial muscle gain as opposed to just like size gain. And then you very gradually cut. So I feel like guys on gear can kind of go through like a more exaggerated cut and bulk cycle. Whereas if you're natty, I feel like it's going to look more like this, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? You want to be like, your bulk might take a lot longer because, you know, you don't have the added benefit of PEDs adding size, and your cut's going to take a lot longer too, because if you cut too drastically as a natty, you're at risk of losing muscle, right? Not muscle that you'll never be able to get back, but that's, I think those are big. Like, I plan to bulk. I'm 6'2", and I'm currently weighing in around 242 in the morning. I'm going to bulk to 250. Because based on how I look right now, I feel like 250, I'll probably be pushing that upper end of like not looking great anymore. And then I'm going to solidify 250. So my bulk is probably going to take a year. I don't care about being cut this summer. You know what I mean? I'm playing the long game. I think as a natty, that's probably the approach that you want. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I still have the same idea on it. Sorry to change the topic entirely. We have 55 seconds left, so we're gonna have to end this live. I'll redo it, and then we'll finish up on that.
Okay, word.
They put a timer back on it, so it'll end in a second. So I'm gonna get to cancel it, and then I'll hop back on. We can redo it.
Okay, cool, man.
So give me 2 seconds. We'll finish off the conversation. All right, guys, we'll be back. Hold on.